Hi friends. So now that you know your letter names on the staff, I want to teach you a little bit more about keyboard layout, octave designations, and symbols we can apply to modify the note names. So what we're going to start with is actually octave designations. They're more specific than just a letter name. Like it's not enough to say something is a C. There are lots of C's that we can hear. Those are all C's, but how do we distinguish the difference between them? So I've prepared a few slides I want to share with you. Here we go. Okay, play the slideshow. All right, so you can see here in example 1, we're using the grand staff, which combines the treble and bass clefs. And what I'm showing you here is that we've got a wide range of notes. But notice we have a C2, we have a C3, we have a C4, C5, a C6, and we could actually keep going all the way to C8 with the 88 note piano keyboard layout. If you cross-reference example 2 beneath example 1, you will see visually how that keyboard is mapped out. We've been talking a bit about middle C, which is here. So that is the fourth C on the keyboard. So we're numbering the octaves, the spans of the keyboard in this way. Where that's C4, this is C3, that's C2, and that would be C1. We can go up the other way too. C4, C5, C6, C7, and then last but not least, C8, which is the highest note on the keyboard. So we're going to be referring to notes on the staff, not just by their letter name, but also by their octave designation, so that we can tell how high or low, what octave these notes are placed in. I want to also share one additional bit of information with you about symbols for modifying notes. So up to this point, we've just been dealing with the basic letter names, A, B, C, D, etc. Well, there's more than just those notes available to us. If you think about the keyboard layout, in fact, I'll go back to the other slide for a second on example 2. So all of those notes we've been identifying previously without any modifications are the white notes on the piano. There's C, there's D, there's E, etc. But there's also all of these black notes that we haven't talked about yet. And they are used in a lot of music, so we do need to talk about those. And here are some symbols that we'll use in notation to refer to those modified notes. The first is the flat symbol. That lowers a note by a half step. And what a half step is just the space between two contiguous notes on the keyboard. So for example, this is D. D flat is here, the black note right beneath the D. Similarly, we have the sharp symbol, which raises a note by 1/2 step. Again, here's D, and if you slide your finger up to the black note just above it, that would be D sharp. The next symbol I want to show you is what we call the natural symbol. So let's say we had just been using D flat a lot, but then we want to show the player that we actually want to have the natural form of the note, D natural, with no flat or sharp. You would draw that natural symbol right ahead of the note head that you would write on the staff lines. The other two symbols I want to show you aren't used as frequently, but you do need to know what they mean. So the next one is two flats smushed together, and that means it's a double flat, which not only lowers the note by 1/2 step, but an additional second half step. So if this is D natural and this is D flat, this is D double flat. Whoa. Likewise, the double sharp symbol does the opposite process where you raise the note by 2/2 steps. The example again starting with D, D sharp, D double sharp. Whoa. I want to show you one more example. Some of the notes that can have multiple identities, we call this enharmonic equivalence in music theory, can be demonstrated on the keyboard. So, for example, the D flats I've been playing, those are enharmonically equivalent to C sharp. It's also enharmonically equivalent to B double sharp. What? And that would be this note here. And what I've done in this chart is showing you the 3 different ways you can name each note. So this white note here, which sounds like that, could be called B natural, C flat, or A double sharp. That's a lot of choices, even though the most user-friendly way to refer to this note would be B. One final spin-off of this idea, I want to show you just one single notation three notations of a single pitch, and that's this sounding one. Actually, it's here, okay? And I've got an arrow pointing to it on the slide. Now, there's 3 different ways we could notate this note. It could be F sharp, it could be G flat, or it could be E double sharp. And that's just a brief introduction to enharmonicism. And in sum, that concept is related to symbols we use to modify notes and how they map out on the keyboard. And then also don't forget about those octave designations. We want to know how high or low a particular note is. All right, so I'm going to give you some stuff to practice, and we'll do more in a bit.